Okay, shalom, shalom. Kwam Yasha'Allah, Koholoim La Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, Bahashim Rakahakdash, double honors to our apostles and elders, a great millstone who do rule well, that by the Spirit taught us this beautiful truth. Just want to say the water toward the H.I.M and Akwaf that's out here sincerely keeping the laws, the statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai to the best of their ability. Jachanan Awaf. Just coming at you with another quick praying that is edifying by the Spirit. And won't be a long lesson, just wanted to touch on this. I was watching this series called Roots that was on the History Channel. I think it came out around 2016. I didn't know about it, but you know, it was kind of like on one of the TV apps on a Roku TV or whatever, scrolling. I'm like, all right, you know, I'll check it out, because I do remember the old school Roots, you know. And it was like a 4-series hookup. Each one of them was like about an hour long. I mean, it was really only one season, I'm thinking. It was just, you know, they just kind of segmented and broke it all down into like hour segments. But, you know, it was pretty decent. It was all right. But what I wanted to do this lesson on was how the people in the movie. Let me just pull a few of these characters, because I got the characters up. I pulled the cast, right? Okay, so now let's start with this guy right here, right? Now, as you can see, this guy right here, he played the slave master. Well, let me give a little backstory. So Kizzy is Kunta Kinte's daughter. She ended up getting sold off or whatever, you know what I'm saying, for learning how to read. There was some other things that was going on, but mainly it was because she was, you know, she learned how to read. They sold her off, so they kind of like doing episode 2 or whatever, they kind of phased out Kunta Kinte, you know, as the father, you know, and his, you know, the woman that he was with, and I think her name was Belle, and you know, they had Forrest Whitaker playing what's the guy played the violin? I can't think of his name. Anyway, those characters was in, you know, they kind of phased those characters out, and she got sold. Soon as she got sold, this guy right here that you see right here, he bought her, supposedly for about $600. He couldn't even wait for her to even she wasn't even settled in. He went straight in, knocked her off. You know what I'm saying? She tried to fight him, whatever. You know, because they just had bought her. They brought her into the barn. They had her chained up. He came in, sipping on that moonshine, hit her up, knocked her down, impregnated her. Very first night, minutes of her getting there. Right? Okay, so now this is Kizzy, the part that I'm talking. She's the one that played the part of who the hell is this? Yeah, this is the lady that played Kizzy right here. I don't know why they're showing all these other pictures. They shouldn't be, but this is her right here, as you can see. Nice looking lady, but she played Kizzy. And so between this so-called white guy and her, ended up the child came out looking like this is the son right here, right? So now this is the son from the so-called white man and Kunta Kinte's daughter. This will be Kunta Kinte's grandson, right? So now that's a perfect color though. That's a perfect color because this is how some children that America ignorantly calls biracial and mixed race. This is what they turn out to look like, you know, like a Jussie Smollett. That's a so-called white man. And we're going to get into it because his father is white. You know, you got like a Lenny Kravitz. So like it for the noise, I'm out kind of getting a walk. You got somebody like, say for instance, Tracy Ellis Ross. She's a so-called white woman. Though she looks like us. She looks like she could be a Negro. Lenny Kravitz looked like he could be a Negro. All those Smollett kids, they look like they could be Negroes. So, right? So here you go. You got this guy. Now, the point that I want to make is, this guy, he gets with this beautiful chocolate drop right here. And look at that. See how dark she is? Now, he got with her. When he got with her, what happened is, and I'm trying to see, they don't even have any of the children up here that they had on the show, but they had 7 children together, and they had a lot of sons. Let me see if I could. Anyway, let me see if this is one of the sons. Nah, that's not one. I don't know why they didn't. I guess they just didn't see him as important, because they didn't, you know, they played some parts, but it, you know, they wasn't like big, huge parts in the movie. But anyway, they had chocolate children. All the sons came out chocolate. And the point that I wanted to make was that so-called white man slept with that so-called black woman, and then you have what appears to be a so-called black man because of the texture of his hair. He kind of caught a couple of the features of the mom, and then he gets with a dark-skinned woman, and then all of a sudden the children are all the way back dark-skinned, so to speak, again. So now those dark-skinned young men in the movie, they were actually Edomites. They were so-called white men, but they looked like black people. So the point that I wanted to make was, and to bring out this lesson, was to, you know, newer brothers and sisters that's coming into this truth, you have to be careful of looking at somebody and saying, you goddamn cracker, you white man, you this, you that, you that. You can't say that, because you don't necessarily know if they are actually a so-called white man. You can't actually say a person that looks like Wesley Snipes is a so-called black man. It's not a color thing. This is a spiritual thing, man. You so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, you are the true Hebrew Israelites. We look like every walk of life. We look like every single race of people that's on this planet. Why? Because of that type of slavery where we've been scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. And the so-called white man, he was slipping in there, man. That's why I like to look at some of these movies. Yeah, they're vexing. They piss you off. You know what I'm saying? But you know, it's best to look at some of these movies. That way you can somewhat learn your enemy. You can learn a lot from looking at a lot of those older slave movies, those older movies, you know, that's got those slave type of settings in them. Because you'll see the so-called white man, he was dipping into the barn, he was dipping into, matter of fact, this guy, he slipped in, he didn't even care about his wife knowing. He was like, this is my right. He slipped right in, man, and knocked her down. The wife standing there looking like she listening to it, and she knew it was going on forever. She never said anything at all. But, and the crazy part, the so-called white man treated him like shit, though he knew that was his son, but he still treated him like shit. Why? Because he had that look of the Negro. You see what I'm saying? So there are a lot of those people that's still walking around out here today. There's a lot of dark-skinned people that are actually fucking white people, to put it in, you know, in terms that you can understand. Or Edomites, that's their biblical name. Esau, Edom, that's the biblical name and nationality for the so-called white man. You see, so don't go by colors, man. That color shit don't matter. If these scriptures resonate with your spirit, then you could be an Israelite. Matter of fact, let's get that first, and I want to get off into the law on, because see, the so-called white man, he'll tell you, you know, people are biracial, people are mixed. You know, you got all these, I'm 5% Irish, I'm 10% Sweden, you know, 20% Russian, and I got 30% African. No, that's not, no. You are exactly what your dad is, man. People look different, but there's only 18 nations of people on the planet, man. You know what I'm saying? So, and everybody come from one of those 18 nations, and that seed line goes by the father. Has absolutely nothing to do with the mother. The male carries the seed. Seed grow, man. And whatever the seed is and what it grows into, that's exactly what it is. It can't grow into nothing other than what the seed is. You're not gonna have 15% of an apple tree with 20% of oranges with it, and 3% of pears, and another 10% of strawberries or some shit, and call it a biracial tree. But that's the so-called white man. See, he'll genetically put shit together that he knows shouldn't go together. There's certain things that you're not supposed to mingle. You're not supposed to mingle seed. You're not supposed to mingle certain cloths. You're damn sure not supposed to be. You see, this man is out here. He giving you genetically modified everything and giving you a whole. And he's presented it to you as if it's always been here. That's not true, man. Okay, but let's get Let me see. Romans 18 and 6. Romans 8 and 16, Salakia. The Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of God. So if your spirit bear witness with these scriptures, with this truth, then you could be one of the children of Israel. It don't make no difference how you look. Because you got Israelites that's running around out here. They got Negro. Oh, you got to be a Negro. Negro only. Negro only. And a bunch of these guys is looking like this same so-called white guy that I'm talking about. The offspring of the so-called white guy and the so-called black woman that I'm talking about. They in these camps talking about. You even got so-called Latinos and this, that, and the third talking about they're the Israelites only. They don't understand that Israelites look like everybody now. We've been scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. And the Lord, what he's going to do is he's going to come and separate the wheat from the tares. That's a parable. That's in the scriptures. You know what I'm saying? The Lord is going to come. Because see, when you go off into wheat and tares, let me pull that up real quick. There's a parable in the scriptures that talks about the wheat and the tares. Now, let me pull up wheat and tares for you. Because I grew up in the South. So I understand what this is talking about. Because wheat and tares look just alike. You see what I'm saying? See, here you go right here. So you'll have somebody out here that looks like they're so-called black and they're not. You'll have somebody out here that looks like they're so-called white and they're not. And I'm just using those particular two races because that seems to be the top topic on the planet, because it really is, because those are the star people in this movie that the Lord created. Esau, Edom, and Jacob. This whole fight on this entire planet, good and evil, is between two races of people, basically. And these other races are just, you know, other cast members, so to speak. They're just extras in this movie. You see, and that's why there's so much between black and white, black, white, black. That's why you hear that so much. But in reality, what they're really saying is Esau, Edom, and Jacob. That's what they're really going into. So like I said, see how this wheat look just like this tares? That tares is no good. When the harvest comes and you can't tell. You can't even tell. As this is growing, you can only tell when it gets to the top of its growth of the harvest. That's the only way you can tell. That's why the Lord, let me go off into it. This is why the Lord said, let me just go into it. Salakia. Let's go into the account in Matthew. And this is the account. It says, tares among wheat, the parable of wheat and tares in the NLT. Matthew 13:24. Another parable put he forth unto them, saying, the kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man which soweth good seed in his field. But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat and went his way. But when the blade was sprung up and brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also. So the servants of the householder came and said unto him, Sir, did not thou sow good seed in thy field? From whence then have the tares? So he's asking, like, you sow good seed, where these tares come from? He said unto them, an enemy has done this. And this is going up. This enemy is damn Satan, man. And Satan's physical counterpart on this planet is Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. The servant said unto him, he said unto them, an enemy has done this. The servant said unto him, wilt thou then that we go and gather them up? See, so these servants is like, should we go and just, let's get this shit out of here. Let's get these weeds out of here, basically. So let's see what the Lord says about that. But he said, nay. So the Lord was like, nah, don't do it. Lest while ye gather up the tares, ye root up also the wheat with them. Right? Let both grow together until the harvest. And in the time of harvest, I will say to the reapers, gather together first the tares, which is the so-called white man, and his seed, and bind them up and bind them in bundles to burn them, but gather the wheat into my barn. So this is what this is going into. You have to have some understanding on this by the Spirit, because this is very important to know, because all that biracial, that mixed shit, that is all pseudoscience from the so-called white man, to go along with his social constructs and how he puts shit together and pushes it on the people, and then he teaches it in his schools and have everybody fooled and get the, they don't want you to know who they are, and they don't want you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans to know who you are. They don't want you to know that you're Israelites. They want you to believe that you're actually black, which there's no such thing as black people. Like, for real. There's no such thing as black people. You're never going to come across somebody. You might come across somebody dark as shit, but you ain't going to come across nobody that look like no damn car tire. Let's just be real. You might see somebody that's a little bit pale, but you're not going to run across nobody that look like a glass of milk. These so-called white people, that's why we say so-called, because they're actually pinkish to reddish in color. They are Edomites, man. That's their biblical nationality. And they've been pushing this bullshit for the longest, man, fooling people into thinking that they look like damn snow, or they look like cloud in the sky, right? Okay, so now let's go off into the, here's that parable explained. Verse 36. Matthew 13 and 36. Then Yahushua sent the multitude away and went into the house, and his disciples came unto him, saying, Declare unto us the parable of the tares of the field. He answered and said unto them, He that soweth the good seed is the Son of Man. So the Son of Man is the one that sowed the Israelites, man. These are his people. From the beginning of time, the Israelites were created to be with him, man. The elect of Israel, the Israelites. Those are his people. Those are the good seed that he created. The field is the world, right? The good seed are the children of the kingdom, but the tares are the children of the wicked one. Now, who is the wicked one? Now, you'll have the so-called white man. He done gave you this fairy tale about some red guy being underground with a pitchfork, you know, with horns on his head. That's all a fable, man. That's not scriptural. That shit is not in the Bible. But this is the type of stuff that he's pushed out here to have people believe all kinds of dumb shit. You see? Christians be teaching this crap, man. You got Israelites, man, that's starting to teach this crap. Okay, it says, let me get that back again. The field is the world. The good seed are the children of the kingdom, but the tares are the children of the wicked one. The enemy that sold them is the devil. And that word devil goes off into deceiver. And no one is more of a deceiver than the so-called white man. That's all he does. He's a goddamn deceiver, man. He's a liar, man. This motherfucker ain't gonna never tell you no truth. You think this man will ever tell you? These people know exactly who you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are, but they refuse to tell you. They want you to really believe that you're actually a damn color out of a crayon box. They want you to believe that you're the names that they gave you during slavery. What was you being called before that? They know your history. Don't think that these people don't know who you are, but they're not going to tell you that. They're going to keep on lying to you, keep on lying to you. Got Jake off into these churches praising white Jesus, talking about the Lord loves everybody. But in the meanwhile, you being treated like trash on a day-to-day basis, been treated like trash for hundreds of years. But they telling you we're all equal. It's just a bunch of damn lies, man. It says the enemy that sold them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the world. And the reapers are the angels. See that? And see, when you go into the book of Revelation, see the children of Israel, the elect of Israel, the 144,000 elect, the children of Israel are being marked by the angels. There's a certain mark that's being put on them to not be, you know, to basically, because they're holding back the four winds, man. The angels are holding back the four winds. They just ready to get their command to let loose when shit hits the fans out here, right? It says, as therefore the tares are gathered and burned in the fire, so shall it be in the end of this world. That's a parable, but it's going off into something realistic. This is what's going to happen and what's coming to you so-called white people that have blended in and snuck your seed in, so-called trying to get your color back, trying to blend in with us, trying to, you know, get back up on that birthright. And it's not working. It's not working. It's not going to happen because the Lord knows the spirit. He's going to come through and separate the sheep from the goat, so to speak. He's going to come and separate. Don't think that you don't think the Lord knows who's who? You don't think the Lord has been counting down throughout the centuries, the seed line? As a matter of fact, let me get this, since we're in Matthew 2. Matthew chapter 1. Verse 1, it says, the book of the generation of Yahushua Mashiach, the son of David, the son of Abraham. Abraham begot Isaac. Isaac begot Jacob. Jacob begot Judas and his brethren. And it goes so on and so forth. It's telling you about who all those, you know, the granddad, great granddad, great great granddad, great 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 granddad, great 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 great, and goes all the way back through Yahushai's lineage, which the world ignorantly calls Jesus. His name is Yahushai, which means he's the savior or deliverer in Paleo Hebrew. So this goes back through his lineage. And all these people that are being named off, you better believe there's no Edomite nowhere among this. There are no other seed lines or no other race of people of the other 17 nations that are in the midst of this lineage right here. This is a straight, pure lineage of him being a Hebrew Israelite from the tribe of Judah. And that's important to know. Because seed line does make a difference. Because this is who Yahushua is coming back for. He's coming back for the children of Israel. But the so-called white man, he wants you to believe that everybody look like him. He's God. And that he's coming back to save the earth after all the shit that they've done to the earth. Out of all the rape, robbing, and pillaging he's done, somebody coming back looking like them is supposed to save everything after all the shit they've done. I mean, come on, man. Let's just be realistic here. Now let's go off into how we know. Because we're not listening to these damn Americans, man. We're not into this American shit. I'm going to start from the top on this. Numbers chapter 1, verse 1. And Yahweh spake unto Moses in the wilderness of Sinai, in the tabernacle of the congregation on the first day of the second month in the second year, after they were come out of the land of Egypt. So this is right after coming out of Egypt, 2 years later. Take ye the sum of all the congregation of the children of Israel, after their families, by the house of their fathers. See that? And with the number of their names, every male by their poll. So you see it says by the house of their fathers. Every male by their polls, not the house of their mother, and every female of her poll. See, this is the original way that things are supposed to be. See, the so-called white man, he flips shit upside down. He has everybody out here thinking that the woman is the most important character in a family. You know? She's above everything. Oh, mama this, mama that. They just, today is, I think today, Father's Day. Father, hey, you ain't see nobody doing nothing like how they was doing for Mother's Day just a few weeks back or a month or so back ago. Because they placed the woman on this pedestal. But the seed line goes through the dad. The children of Israel come from 4 different women. Why are they Israelites? Because the dad was an Israelite. I mean, it's common sense. The dad is an Israelite, but he had the 12 sons with 4 different women. So that lets you know where the seed comes from. That lets you know how the seed goes. I mentioned that to some woman one time, and she's a Hebrew Israelite woman talking all kinds of shit, and she didn't even know that. Oh, she was like, oh, I didn't even know that. Are you for real? Yes. The children of Israel come from 4 different women, man. Okay? So let's get verse 18. I'll end out here, Yahweh Ratazah. And as you can see, it goes on actually to mention the tribes. You see what I'm saying? Verse 4 says, and with you there shall be a man of every tribe, every one head of the house of his fathers. There you go again. And like I said again, it starts to mention off the children of Israel, the sons of Israel. Because see, you got Reuben, you got Simeon, Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, Ephraim, Manasseh, Benjamin, Dan, Asher, Gad, Naphtali. So these are all men that are being mentioned here. Because that's where the seed line comes from, man. The man carries that seed in his nutsack. If a woman have 9 children by 9 different men, those are 9 different seeds that she had intake into her body. But if a man have 9 children with 9 different women, they're all going to be able to call him dad. Those are all his seed. See? And that lets you know how off it is for a woman to be out here sleeping around like how they sleep around in the Americas. You got 2, 3, 4, 5 baby daddies, man. That don't even make no sense. That shit is off, man. That's actually disgusting and nasty as hell. When you really, really get down to the boogie on it. That is disgusting, man. Anyway, verse 18. And they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigree after their families by the house of their fathers. See? According to the number of the names from 20 years old and upward by their polls. So they declared their pedigree after the house of their fathers. That's how it goes. And that's a common thing in the East. That biracial mix shit, that just came out, I think, in like the 1980s. The early 1980s, maybe late 1970s. That phrase is not that old. I'm older than that phrase, actually. For real. That's why, you know, people get to talking about that African American shit. Like, I'm older than the actual term African American. I'm older than my nationality. How could that be? See, the so-called white man, he doesn't expect you to think. You have to start thinking, man. Start praying to the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, for more wisdom, man. Because he said that he'll give it to you liberally. But don't have no doubts about, you know, what you're praying for. The Lord will give you, you know, everything that you need, man. All you got to do is pray for it and believe that he's going to give it to you as far as his will. Because it's his will for you to know these types of things. Because these are simple things. They are milk. Well, I guess I could say that they're milk to a brother that may have been in this truth for, you know, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, maybe possibly. Some people pick up on it the very first year. You should. Within 6 months of being in this truth, this is something that you should basically know, because it is basic. Because it's very important to know. Because when you're going out on the highways and byways, it's important to just teach the scriptures. And as people walk by, if it resonates with their spirit and the Lord wants them to stop and listen, they're going to stop and listen. They're not going to have no choice. It's going to be, they're just not going to have no choice. The Lord knows how to tap on that shoulder, man, to get you to turn around and stand there to hear exactly what it is that you need to hear for the amount of time that you need to hear. But to be out here just like, you know, if you see somebody that looks like Joe Biden and you immediately calling him an Edomite, then that's going off. Now, I do believe that Joe Biden is an Edomite, but what I'm saying is, there are people out here that look like Joe Biden that's not Edomite. I mean, that's not Edomites. They're Israelites. There are people out here that look like Jackie Chan. Shit, that's Israelites. You know what I'm saying? It's people of all these different nationalities or all these different races or continents that you want to call them, whatever you want to call them. They look like the people of those continents, but they are actually Israelites. You see? So I just wanted to touch on that for a hot sec. And again, here go the wheat and tares. You see how close wheat and tares look? They look a lot alike until the harvest come. And then, of course, you know, this was a I was in here. This was a decent movie, man. It may not come back up, but anyway, The Roots hook up. It was on the History Channel. If you want to get off into that, it was a nice look. It was definitely you know, something to look into. You know. They didn't go all brutal slave. They did show them chopping off the nigga's foot and all that other stuff, you know. But I mean, you know, it kind of gave you, you know, it had some twist to it. They had the Nat Turner in there. They gave you some history and stuff as far as like Nat Turner running through, and the Edomites was all scared and shit, you know, because they was, you know, killing all the Edomites up. And they gave you some history of the Civil War. They gave you some history of, you know, Lincoln and all that. You know, there's some history in it and stuff. So it's a good watch if it's something that you want to watch. But when I seen it, that's what stood out to me. You know, the so-called white man sleeping with the so-called black woman, them having what they would call a mixed child. That so-called mixed child getting with a dark chocolate chip, nice looking chocolate lady, and then they had chocolate babies. And those babies are Edomites. That's what I'm looking like in the whole, that's what threw me. I'm like, well, goddamn, I couldn't even, that took the whole thing away from me. That took really the thrill of me watching it. I'm like, well, damn, all these motherfuckers is Edomites now, you know? So with that, I just wanted to touch on that. That's a very important subject in this truth, because we do have to realize that there are, you know, some people call it confusion of faces, so to speak, but there are people out here, man, that's gonna look like other nations of people that are Israelites, and we're not gonna all look black, man. So I just wanted to just touch on that real quick for a hot sec. So with that, I pray that the lesson was edifying. Kwam Yashallah.